There is nothing sweeter than to wake up in the middle of the night to a kiss on the neck. Unless that is, you are home alone. Tonight, we're diving into 10 of the most spine-tingling home alone stories that will leave you questioning every creak and shadow in your house. From unsettling encounters to hair-raising mysteries, these people's experiences are sure to make you think twice before turning off the lights. So grab a blanket, settle in, and prepare for a journey into the unknown that might just keep you awake all night. Someone behind the curtain. I was maybe 12 or 13. My parents were visiting my sister at university and my brother was in town visiting his girlfriend. We lived on a ranch about 25 minutes from town, with my only neighbors being my grandparents, who are very old. Our house is built on a concrete platform on a hill, so there are some wooden steps to get from the back porch to the ground, which is right outside my window. I was sitting in my room watching YouTube, chillin' when I heard a heavy creak on one of the steps. I paused my video and stared at my window, closed by blinds, knowing that all I have to do is open them up and see what it is, but I ignore it and keep watching YouTube. Maybe a minute passes and I hear 3 more, heavy steps. Sounds like the bottom of boots on wood. I spring out of bed and into the hallway while calling my mom. I frantically explain the situation quietly, and she asks me a simple question: are the dogs even barking? No. I have 3 white labs, all in the main room, that have a clear sight of the back porch. I let out a sigh of relief and hang up the phone. The second I end the call with my mom, my dogs absolutely explode. Barking, baring teeth, hair standing up and all. I want to get a gun, but all of them require me to run across the main room, which is all windows, and I don't want to see what's out there or they see me. I run to my room and grab a pocket knife and call my brother, telling him to get home immediately. My dogs bark for maybe another few seconds and they stop. Never found out what was behind the blinds. The attic from her nightmares. A friend lived as a kid with her family at a house that had an attic that ran the length of the house, and the access was through a door in the back of her brother's closet at the far end. Their parents forbid them from messing around up there because it was filled with boxes from previous tenants. Landlord said, "I don't care if you look through them, but I don't know what's in there, so do so at your own risk." And because if someone got hurt by something falling on them or something, it might go unheard, unnoticed until too late. To make things weirder, at the very back end of the attic, so right above her bedroom, was a little locked room. Well, friend starts getting woken up at night by the sound of someone moving around quietly, which always turns into rapid, quiet creaking, almost right above her. She figures it's her brother. Because he'd have to cross over their parents' room as well, she figured he'd get caught eventually, and just did her best to ignore the sound or think about what a teenage boy might be doing to cause it. One day during the summer, she slept in on a weekend. When she woke up, she looked outside and saw her parents working on the big produce garden they'd put in. She went and got some breakfast, then went back up to her room to play with her Game Boy. For the first time after months of getting woken up, she heard the noises during the day. Curious to catch him in the act, she crept to her brother's room. The closet door was open. The attic access was open. She quietly went up the steep and narrow stairs until she could just peek in, and saw first that a path had been cleared, and then that the mattress her dad had wedged in front of the little room had been slid aside. Most surprising, however, was that the locked door at the back was open. Her brother stuck his head out, saw her right away, and smiled, calling her over. "You gotta come see this," and then pulled back inside of the dark room. She instantly noped and flew all the way downstairs into the yard to tattle on her brother, only to see him hauling stuff around and helping their parents, as he'd been all morning and afternoon apparently. Shocked and afraid of not being believed, even though they asked why she looked so afraid, she simply answered, "I think there's someone in the attic." When pressed, she said she heard footsteps and saw that the door was open when she went to look. Dad swore and went and got his gun from his truck and instructed them to wait 15 minutes. If he didn't come back out, they were to all get in the truck and drive to the neighbor's place a couple miles down and call the police. No cell phones back then. He went in, and after a very anxious wait, he came back out pissed as hell, demanding the kids fess up who had been messing around up there. Both denied it, and the family went to look as a unit, with friend reluctantly bringing up the rear. Someone had indeed pushed all the boxes and the mattress out of the way. The door was indeed unlocked and open. All that was inside, no light, no window, was an old rocking chair, and everything covered in decades of dust, with no sign that anyone but them had been in the room at all. No streaks, no footprints, just some ancient mouse poop and an old chair. Brother pointed to this as proof he couldn't have been the one, because how would he leave no signs? In the absence of other explanations, Dad didn't buy it. Brother got grounded for the next couple weeks for breaking the rules and sneaking around, and friend refused to go back to the attic the rest of the time they lived there, sleeping on the couch in the downstairs living room when she could get away with it, because the sound of steps in the rocking would still regularly wake her up. Well into adulthood, years and years after they moved away, she still has recurring nightmares about that attic. It's always the same dream, but it goes one of two ways. In the dream, it's like she's on a rail, and no matter how she tries to stop, go backwards, etc., she just smoothly glides along. Up the stairs, down the hall into her brother's room, up the attic steps, unable to close her eyes or turn away. The way it usually goes is that she is frozen at the point, right where she can see into the attic, and the door to the little room is open. Her brother's smiling face emerges, but she knows in her heart, it's not him. The not brother grins and beckons, and the attic gets shorter and shorter, her unable to turn or run away, until she is just within arm's reach, and just as he lunges for her, she wakes up drenched in a cold sweat and crying. The other way it goes. It's the same all the way until the attic, but then when her brother's face peeks out, she knows it is him. In this version, though, he's covered in thick dust, his hair, his skin, etc., except that tears have streaked his face. He calls out to her but makes no noise. She can't understand what he's trying to say except for two words, "Help me." Then something pulls him back inside, and she is frozen, knowing in her gut that something terrible is happening to him, but she can't save him. This goes on until she wakes up racked with guilt and fear. My question is, and most importantly, if that wasn't her brother, who the hell did she see up there? The party must go on. I used to rent a room in a basement apartment. My friend's family lived in the real house upstairs, which is how I ended up there. They have a lot of family parties. They're first-generation Filipino. Family parties are a frequent thing. One day I was doing some homework in my room. The other two tenants weren't home, so I had apartment B to myself. But they were being so loud upstairs, I was having trouble focusing. So much chatter and feet moving around. Sounded like dancing was going on. I texted my friend, "You guys sound like you're really having a good time up there. I'm not really getting anything done. Can I come up?" He texts back, "No one is home. We went to Wisconsin for the weekend. I went outside, saw that no one's car was there and no lights were on in the house. And then I just went for a walk until someone else got home." Years later, we all found out they found human bones buried in the property. The school's bathroom. I don't generally believe in ghosts, but here's a weird one from high school. But I was alone in the bathroom when this happened. My school bathrooms had really loud, heavy doors. The door to the bathroom and the stall doors were so creaky there was no way you wouldn't hear someone coming in or leaving. One day my friend group was on the benches near the washroom, so at some point during lunch I went to use it. I was in one of 3 stalls, probably browsing my phone or pooping, when I hear someone come in crying and shut herself in the stall furthest from me. I was on one end of the wall and she was on the other, so I couldn't see her feet from my stall. I asked if she was okay but didn't get a response. She just kept crying. I finished my toilet business and left my stall to go knock on her stall door and see if she was okay. The bathroom was empty. The stall doors were all open, and I didn't hear anyone leave either the stall or the bathroom exit. I even walked into the stall I thought she was in and checked. Honestly, when this happened, I thought I just wasn't paying attention and didn't hear the girl leave. But then about a week or 2 later, it happened again in the same bathroom. My friends knew I didn't believe in ghosts, but when I told them, they could all tell I wasn't joking. Before we jump into our next spine-chilling story, I want to take a moment to connect with you. If you've ever had a terrifying experience while home alone, drop your story in the comments below. I'd love to read them. And if you're enjoying these eerie tales, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more content that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Your support means the world and helps us bring you even more hair-raising stories. Now let's continue with the next fright. A big mess. I was 17 years old, left alone from Thursday to Sunday with our family's dog, who was pretty small and starting to have trouble climbing stairs in his old age. I'd be working every morning while my parents were out of town. Came home from my shift on Friday, and everything about the kitchen table was a mess. Napkins were taken out of the holder, all of the mail was thrown on the floor, salt and pepper shaker on the other side of the kitchen but still together, and one of the chairs pulled far away from the table. Our dog's never done anything like this, and I'd be especially surprised if he was even capable of climbing on top of the table. I reset it all. Saturday, I come back to find the exact same configuration. Don't have the pictures anymore, but every detail was just as I found it the day before. Pretty much the entire night, I'm convinced there's gonna be a ghost coming to get me, and I sleep horribly and barely rest for work on Sunday. I leave for work and make sure the place was orderly when I left, because I knew my parents would be back before I was out of work. When I go on my lunch break, I call my mom and ask about all of the details from the past 2 days, and she just goes, "Yeah, why did you leave such a mess?" She didn't get pictures, so I can't verify how similar the mess was, but regardless, I can't believe my old dog would have done that for 3 consecutive days, and I don't even know if he was strong enough to move the chairs or climb on the table. This was the only time anything like this ever happened while I was left alone. The black dog. Back in high school, I'd usually be up all hours of the night playing games. I had a large dog at the time that would sleep in my room at night. It was 2 a.m., and I was finally headed to bed. But my dog wasn't with me, so I ventured out to find him. I made my way across the house to the kitchen-dining room combo. I'm standing in the only doorframe that leads to that side of the house. We had an island in the kitchen with a stool that the junk mail was usually kept on. So I walk up, call for my dog, and see him walk from behind the island to behind the dining room table set, knocking all the junk mail down as he did so. I huff and flip on the light. No dog. I freak out, scramble back across the house, and end up finding him in my parents' room. I regale the story the next day to my parents and younger sister, who often claim to see stuff in the house. My sister pipes up and goes, "Oh, that's the tall black thing. Yeah, sometimes it likes to crawl around on all fours." A weight on the bed. I lived in an apartment by myself, and every once in a while I'd be about to fall asleep when I'd feel a weight next to me. It felt as if someone else had gotten into bed with me. At the time, I was dating a woman who would sleep over from time to time, but I never mentioned this to her. One night while she was over, I had to leave due to a family emergency. I told her it's okay if she slept at my place alone if she would like, and that I would be back the next day. I get home that morning and she tells me, "The weirdest thing happened last night. As I was falling asleep, I thought you had come home and gotten into bed with me because I definitely felt someone get into bed on the other side, but when I opened my eyes, you weren't here." Freaked me out. Hearing a stranger. I wasn't technically alone as my husband was in the house, but because of his medication, he couldn't do anything to help if there was an emergency. I was downstairs with my husband snoring beside me. I heard from the top of our basement stairs, "Hello? Hello? Is everybody okay?" I went up to figure out who it was and thought maybe we'd accidentally left a door open somehow. Searched everywhere, nothing even slightly amiss. Made a phone call and also got my neighbor over. Both doors were shut and locked. Did a thorough check behind every door, the tub, under furniture, etc. Nothing. No one. The lady in white, I was maybe 10. I lived close enough to my school to be able to walk home for lunch. I was sitting on the couch, deciding whether it was worth going back. I look up at a mirror that's on the wall behind the TV, and I see standing behind me a woman in a lacy white dress looking me in the eye. I whip my head around hard enough to hear my neck pop, and there's nothing. And that room had nothing white in it. Brown carpet, yellowish walls, brown curtains, a glass table with some fake fruit in it, and she was standing right in front of the table. I stared into that room for the next 2 hours until my mom got home. The laundry room. One day, while doing my laundry, one of the lights blew out in my basement. My basement is set up so that the laundry room is split from the other side of the basement with a wall and a door. In order to get upstairs, you have to exit the laundry room and go through the other part of the basement. Since there was only light on one side, it was pretty dark. I finished the laundry I had to do while dreading the walk through the dark basement. I exited the laundry room and got halfway through the basement when I heard a loud cackle. Imagine a sound people make when they imitate a witch. Take that, and imagine that the witch had been smoking for 50 years, making her voice deeper and hoarser. That is what I heard, clear as day, right behind me. I did not look or hesitate. I bolted for the stairs. I waited until my father got home and then changed the bulb. I have yet to hear that cackle since, and I have not told a single person in the house about it. And there you have it, 10 terrifying tales that remind us just how vulnerable we can feel when we're alone at home. Whether it's the sound of footsteps in the hallway or the feeling of being watched, these stories serve as a haunting reminder to always trust your instincts. If you enjoyed these spine-chilling accounts, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your own Home Alone experiences in the comments below. Until next time, keep the lights on and stay safe.